for being here on this special day, Mother's Day. I think every day should be a Mother's Day. Mothers do so much, and every day has to be a Mother's Day. Every day should be a Valentine's Day. Every day should be Father's Day. so, so welcome to all of you to this Aap Sambhasha, Aap collaboration, dialogue, and a meeting of minds and heart and wisdom that we get together almost every month. And AAP, the American Association of Ayurvedic Professionals, is extremely proud to present this. And we have four pillars of AAP. One is to unite, to bring all the Vaidyas, all the people with Ayurvedic body, mind, and spirit to be together, unite them for the authentic Ayurvedic medicine, and to focus on the highest standards of healthcare, clinical training, and research. We like to empower all our Ayurvedic professionals who have 8,000 plus hours of training, of BMS, of MD, PhD, and train them and certify them as Ayurvedic physicians, Ayurvedic professionals in this country. We also like to collaborate. We partner with all the national and global Ayurvedic associations and allied organizations and institutions to provide and spread the wisdom, the science, and the healing of authentic Ayurvedic medicine. And our fourth pillar, or the Chatushpad here, is to educate and offer progressive continuing education to the members of AAP in the areas of authentic Ayurveda and clinical practice, and also to help in the management of business, marketing, finances, legalities, taxes, and how to have a successful practice. And many of our members and the board here are very successful board practitioners, so we would definitely love to support the other practitioners of Ayurvedic wisdom in this country, North America. So welcome to all of you, and also from the bottom of my heart, I would request you all to join our association. We still have a free membership. So please do join us and be a part of our membership, our family of Ayurvedic professionals. Welcome to all of you. And I hand over now to our esteemed Vaidya Meenakshi Gupta to take from here. And we are very proud and honored to have her as our Vice President of AAP. She's a dynamic practitioner of Ayurvedic medicine in Texas, and she has Ayur roots and a new company, Siamore. Welcome to Dr. Meenakshi Gupta, and here you can take from here.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction about the AAP as well as for myself. I would like to introduce our Dr. Deepa Bhatt, who is Secretary for AAP, and she's also a dynamic Ayurveda practitioner having a multiple role in multiple organizations and a strong pillar for AAP. Dr. Deepa, please.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi. A few house rules before we start today's session. We request all our viewers to be on mute throughout the discussion. Please put any inquiries or questions in the chat feature. And another request is please do not discuss any personal medical information in the questions and the chat. And please know that the information provided in the discussion today is just for general education purpose only, and it doesn't provide any medical advice nor substitute any medical advice. Please talk to your doctor or a healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet and lifestyle. Again, over to you, Meenakshi, and welcome everybody for today's session. Thank you. General education purpose only, and it doesn't provide any medical advice nor substitute any medical advice. Please talk to your doctor or a healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet and lifestyle. Again, over to you, Meenakshi, and welcome everybody for today's session. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Education purpose only, and it doesn't provide any medical advice nor substitute any medical advice. Please talk to your doctor or a healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet and lifestyle. Something is happening. Over to you, Meenakshi, and welcome everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Deepa. I think it was going on the live YouTube and the page was still open. That's why it was echoing. And I was like, okay.
I stopped checking. What's happening? Sorry about that.
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to our panel. First, I would like to introduce our esteemed panelists. Alphabetically, Dr. Ashish, Dr. Mimamsa, and Dr. Rucha. Dr. Ashish Paul is the CEO of Ashish Veda, a premium natural healthcare clinic, women's fertility coach, women's health rejuvenation coach. She is the author of 3 books. She has also contributed to journal articles and written chapters in 5 books. Dr. Ashish works with women CEOs, executives, and high net worth women entrepreneurs, doctors, and solicitors internationally to improve their health and well-being. She has helped to design and accredited Ayurveda courses for Ahimsa Center in Paris. She taught for 5 years in the same course. Students love her practical and simple approach to understand the complexity of Ayurvedic medicine. As a natural fertility and natural rejuvenative expert, Dr. Ashish supports women and empowers them to be in the best of their health and live a balanced and rejuvenated life. As a host of Ashish Veda podcast, Dr. Ashish also speaks to the other natural healthcare practitioners and share their idea of holistic health to the world. Dr. Ashish has spoken internationally as a keynote speaker and represented Ayurvedic medicine worldwide. A very warm welcome, Dr. Ashish, and a very happy Mother's Day to you. Our next esteemed panelist alphabetically is Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Mimamsa, an accomplished scholar in Ayurveda, boasts an illustrated academic journey marked by excellence. Graduated with honors from renowned National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur in 2015. She earned the esteemed gold medal for her outstanding performance. Building upon this foundation, she pursued advanced studies in Prasuti Tantra and Istri Rog, obtaining a master's degree in 2019. Currently engaged in doctoral research at same institution, Dr. Mimamsa is further honoring her expertise in her chosen field. With 1.5 years of experience as an assistant professor for National Institute of Ayurveda, Panchkula, she is committed to fostering the next generation of Ayurvedic practitioners through innovative teaching methods. Her clinical acumen gained during her tenure as a medical officer at a NIA Jaipur span a wide spectrum of women's health issues, including menstrual irregularities, fertilities, comprehensive antenatal, intranatal, and postnatal care. A prolific researcher, she has authored numerous publications in esteemed national and international journals, as well as several authoritative books. Her expertise encompasses diverse areas within Ayurvedic medicine, including specialized treatments and therapeutic modalities rooted in Ayurvedic principles. A very warm welcome, Dr. Mimamsa. Our next esteemed panelist is Dr. Rucha Kelkar. She is also a BMS, Doctor of Physiotherapist. She is the founder and director of Ayurbliss Wellness Center for Ayurveda, Yoga, and Physical Therapy. Her clinic is located in San Mateo, California. Dr. Kelkar is an accomplished clinician, educator, speaker, and writer with an experience of over 23 years. Chair of Mount Madonna Institute College of Ayurveda and is a board member of NAMA, which is a National Ayurvedic Medical Association. She has an extensive clinical knowledge base in Ayurveda as well as in the physical therapy. At her Ayurbliss Wellness Center, she provides Ayurveda consultation, Ayurveda therapies, Panchkarma, and also integrate the timeless wisdom of Ayurveda and yoga with the rehabilitative knowledge of physical therapy. She specialized in orthopedic physical therapy. She also conducts various Ayurveda workshops and teaching programs online and at her center. Dr. Kelkar has mentored students at Stanford Medical School for their integrative medicine clerkship and has taught medical and pharmacy students at UCSF. Thank you so much, Dr. Rucha Kelkar, and a very warm welcome to our esteemed panel. So today we are going to discuss, in honors of all the mothers and the females, we are going to discuss about the inevitable phase of our lives, which is a perimenopause and menopause. So our entire Sambhasha discussion is going to revolve around these two topics only, how we can have more healthy perimenopause and menopause, and how we can prepare when we talk about Ayurveda and Ayurveda principles. So my first question for this panel is to Dr. Ashish. Dr. Ashish, please tell us what is perimenopause and menopause and why it is so important to prepare for this phase of female life.
Good morning. I think good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you're listening from. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for having me here. So perimenopause or menopause, the actual menopause definition is that when your periods stop. So for women who menstruate and also for people who menstruate, when your periods stop is called menopause. And perimenopause is the time before that, actually a year before that. However, because we don't really know when somebody can have menopause and all these average times that we have about 50 or 45 plus we still see a lot of variation within that. So we don't really know, but perimenopause is a year before you actually stop your periods. And menopause, fully you are in menopause when you have stopped your periods for 1 year. So the whole transition period of actual menopause can take from 1 to 3 years for up to 5 years. And perimenopause could be also even extended before that for one year is kind of technical definition, but it could be 2 to 3 years as well.
Would you like to add why we need to prepare our body and...
Oh, yes. Why do we need to prepare? I think we need to be healthy forever. So we need to always prepare. And menopause is no different. You know, in our life, for our life, we need to keep preparing ourselves. And menopause is any life condition like menopause or any other condition as well. As we know in Ayurveda, there are signs that it starts years before it actually happens. Yeah. So that's why we need to be preventing it and also preparing it so that we pass through that transitional time in a healthy way and we don't suffer from all these extreme symptoms that we have. And in my experience, women have those extreme symptoms when they are not really preparing much for it or they don't know enough about it. So keep learning about it and also keeping a really close eye on your own health and well-being, you know, so knowing yourself that, okay, if this is something not normal for you, then you may be going through that transitional time, even though the age may not be such, because we are seeing menopause happening under 40 as well now. So preparation is the key so that we are healthy through transition and we remain healthy after transition as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashish. And I definitely agree with you on that it is very important for every female to prepare themselves for this upcoming perimenopause and menopause. Now, my next question is to Dr. Rucha. We see a lot of mind-body connection here during this phase of life. Many times female experience not only the physical issues, but the mental health issues also. Many times we see that the female who is mentally never had an issue, all of a sudden she starts experiencing anxiety, depression, mood swings to the extent where they seek for the help. What do you say about the mind-body connection when it comes to the perimenopause and menopause?
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi, for this question. Now, first of all, as we all know, there is never a separation of mind and body in Ayurveda. You know, mind affects body, body affects mind. We never consider them separate from each other. And that concept also applies to this stage of life. Menopause is not a disease, it is a transition. And during this transition, you know, if it is an easy transition, things flow very smoothly. And sometimes if it is not an easy transition due to doshic imbalances, there can be problems. Now, these problems are typically triggered by the hormonal changes that happen in this stage of life. And during these hormonal changes, they can completely change the brain chemistry as well. And this mind, I think of it as a spaceship which is directed by thoughts and fueled by emotions. And this mind can have a tremendous impact because of the hormonal changes in how the neurotransmitters work, and can really affect the woman. Typically, we're thinking about two major players here. One is estrogen, which is the brain cheerleader. If this brain cheerleader is not working very well, it affects your memory, it affects your mood, it can affect your attention as well, right? Those are the main functions of estrogen. During this phase, progesterone also takes a nosedive. Progesterone is responsible for relaxation and sleep and keeping the mind calm. And that also takes a nosedive. So that affects, can affect your mood and so many other things because of lack of sleep. So that what happens is a perfect storm is created by the imbalance of these hormones from an Ayurvedic standpoint, which we can call it a doshic imbalance. And that is how mind is affected during perimenopause and menopause.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. Very wonderfully said that in Ayurveda, we always connect mind and body, and there is no separation between the two. If you address one thing and you are not addressing the physical body, then also it will bring the imbalance. And if you are addressing only the physical body, not addressing the mental body, then also it will bring the imbalance. My next question is to Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Mimamsa, we know that in Ayurveda, it is called as a Rajonivritti. And it is associated with the dosha balance or imbalance because this is inevitable phase of the life, which is considered as a Vata phase stage of the life. So how you define which dosha is into the imbalance or which dosha is into the balance state during this stage of life, and how Ayurveda can explain the concept of Rajonivritti?
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to all the dignitaries, all the respected members. I am Dr. Mimamsa. So as per the question, Rajonivritti is stated in Ayurveda as follows, and Rajonivritti term has been made up of two different words, Raja and Nivritti. Raja here meant the menstruation, the Raja of the woman, and Nivritti here means the accomplishment or the fulfillment or the completion, the end or the discontinuation of the flow of menstruation. So the Rajonivritti is stated as Rajati Rajate Anil Vatasya Nivritti Rajo Sri Pushpasya Nivrittir Asya. That means the whole term Rajonivritti means the end of Arthavritti or the cessation of menstruation. As we all know, the female body is very prone, is very respective of the Vata dosha in all fields of her life. As per the status of doshas in different epochs of women's life, we see in childhood stage, the woman is categorized in three categories, Bala, Kumari and Rajomati. In the childhood phase, the female body is having the Kapha dosha in the dominant state and Vata is in less dominant state and the Pitta in his middle state. In the middle age, when she is going to appear in the perimenopausal period or the menopausal phase, her body is divided, her age is divided into three parts, the Yuvati, the Prodavastha and the Vriddha. The Prodavastha state here is termed as the perimenopausal period and the Vriddha is the menopausal period. In both the states, women's body is having the Vata dosha in dominant state and the Kapha and the Pitta in less state. So in the menopausal period, the doshic stages are like Vata is in dominant state. So if we are going to approach the menopausal women or the perimenopausal women, we will have to consider the Vayu dosh, in the first priority, and we will have to manage the doshic imbalances with the Vata Pradhanya Chikitsa, Vata dominant treatment, which the treatment which specifying the Vata dosh predominant will be going to do better with perimenopausal and menopausal women. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Mimamsa. Ayurveda does define the perimenopause and menopause in a different avastha of the female life. So with that, my next question would be to Dr. Ashish. So Dr. Ashish, what could be the probability types or categories of Rajonivritti stage as per Ayurveda? What are your thoughts on that?
Right. So how I normally like to make it simpler for myself as well as for people and patients is that how we are seeing it according to our doshas. Yeah. So whatever dosha of that person is, so we define it according to that. So if it is Vata, if it is Pitta, if it is Kapha, even though it is overall a Vata state, as Dr. Mimamsa, I think, just explained. So, but everybody's personal dosha is different, as we know. So according to our, Prakriti or Vikruti. So that's how I like to simplify it and treat it accordingly as well.
Wonderfully said. So with that, the next question I would like to address to Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Mimamsa, you explained the perimenopause and menopause stage as per Ayurveda. So what are the causative factor of Rajonivritti Lakshana or the symptoms associated with perimenopause and menopause?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as we can see that the causative factor as such are not defined for the Rajonivritti state because it is a natural phenomena in a woman's life. But we can assume that these can be the causative factors for Rajonivritti Lakshanas. First one is the Swabhava. As the Acharya Charak has said, the Swabhava Upram Vad, that some things are having a definite cause, origin and cessation of the things. If the menstruation is going to come at menarche, it is going to stop at menopause. It is called as Swabhava Upram Vad as per Acharya Charak. So first can be the causative factor of Rajonivritti is the natural phenomena is Swabhava. The second one we can state Jara Pakva Sharir due to, as Acharya said, Jara Parpakva Shariranam Yati Panchashat Kshayam. As Acharya Shushruta has stated that in the 50 years of women's life, she will be having the age factor as her menopause is going to achieve, as the body is going to become like in shy state in the at the age of 50 years at a time. So the Kala, the time, can't be stopped. So as the process of aging and Jara, everything goes old with time and finally ends. So this is the second causative factor. As per Ayurveda, we can state that Jara Pakva Shariranam, the women's body will get the menopause achieved. Third, we can state that Dhatu Kshayavastha. In short, Pravritti, the menstruation depends on the proper nourishment of the dhatus, which is done by the Anna Ahar Rasa, that is the nutrient we are giving to our body. And due to effect of the Jara state, the old age or aging, the same Anna Rasa, the nutrients of the body, are due to destruction of the tissues of the body, is not able to nourish the dhatus, the Artav Dhatu or menstruation at the aged state of women's life. The third causative factor we can state the Dhatu Kshayavastha is the causative, can be the causative factor for Rajonivritti Avastha. Lastly, the effect of doshas. As I have already stated that the Vata is the dominant dosha in the later stages of women's life. So Vayu is itself is a cause of Kshayavastha of women's body. So the Artav will chronically or as per the age will deplete in the women's body. So the menopause will achieve. So the Rajonivritti, for the Rajonivritti, the fourth causative factor can be the effect of dosha. Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderfully said. Yes. As per Ayurveda, it is a sabhavik vyadhi. Though we say that it is not a vyadhi, but it is inevitable. It comes at a certain age because of the dhatu kshay, because of the vat dosha, and the female body depletes itself. And that's how the Rajonivritti happens. Now, my next question related to this is, if it is an inevitable stage of the life, why we emphasize on the nutrition, at what stage of the life we should pay attention to the nutrition? And this question is for Dr. Rucha first and Dr. Ashish then.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi. So one interesting fact that we should understand with respect to this is that around menopausal age or perimenopausal age, as the body is shifting into a different stage of life, into the Vata stage of life, it can cause multiple problems in the body. There could be metabolic problems. There can be, hormone-related problems, all due to, of course, this Vata stage, or due to that dhatu kshaya Jaraawastha which is created, and also due to how we consider this as a Jara Pakva Avastha in a woman's life. So considering all of these aspects, you have to keep that in mind and accordingly work on the nutritional aspect for a woman. So it is very important to have a proper diet. Without skimping on nutrition, you also need to reduce your calories as well. Without skimping on nutrition, and that is very important because that nutrition is extremely important. Interestingly, to maintain weight during this stage, let alone lose weight. Again, to maintain weight during this stage, to let alone lose weight, you have to eat 200 calories less during your 50s than when you did in your 30s and your 40s. So considering all of that, you have to alter your nutrition, of course, Ayurvedically, keeping in mind what your dosha imbalances are at that point of life, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, whatever, it may be different for different women. And, reduce sugar and alcohol, which are, free adding calories to the body. Increase your fruit, vegetable intake, whole grains, fibers, legumes, soy, fish. But Ayurvedically speaking, you can also add certain fruits and vegetables, seeds, which actually support the body, such as asparagus, which is a phytoestrogen, aloe juice, which is a phytoestrogen, edamame or soybeans, which are phytoestrogens, fennel seeds, garden cress seeds. All of these are supportive to a woman's body as she goes through this transition and supports nutrition. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. Dr. Ashish, your views on that?
So nutrition is, we are what we eat and what we digest and what we assimilate. It's no different at the time of menopause. And rather more we need to, because we are also preparing, according to Ayurveda and even otherwise, we are getting older. We are more older than what we were the day before. So it is about how to optimize your nutrition, because there are few specific changes that happen that, Dr. Rucha just mentioned with the weight and other issues because of hormonal changes at that time. So a lot of women find themselves that they are heavier and they can't lose that weight. So it is very important to optimize your nutrition so that you are not necessarily eating a lot, but whatever you are eating is the right nutrition for you. So if you have never optimized before in your life, this would be the time to really optimize and then eat according to what your constitution is, and then the foods that are easily digestible so that you are not eating extra calories which are not required, and then keeping your gut healthy, from which all your hormones are also going to be made, so it's a holistic health, how you need your holistic health with your holistic nutrition. So nutrition is the key here, and really understanding your constitution, so that you understand your Prakriti, you understand your Vikriti, and how that is playing up here, as well as, I would say, the role of everything else that is going on in your life, and how you are processing the stress in your life, because that is going to have a huge impact, because menopause itself is a stressful transition, and equivalent to how pregnancy and fertility is. So they need to understand a bit more deeper into themselves, so that they are eating the right kind of things. So that's what I would say, that nutrition is hugely important.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish and Dr. Rucha, for the wonderful aspect on the nutrition also. Many times in my clinical practice also, I see females coming with osteoporosis, osteopenia, and even the weak pelvic floor, where the urinary incontinence is one of the number one cause. So my next question will be to Dr. Rucha. How you will suggest the females to strengthen the pelvic floor so that at least the urinary continency or other issues related to the pelvic floor, they can manage well through the nutrition, as well as, since your expertise is also in physiotherapy, how both aspects they can include to strengthen the pelvic floor.
So one thing we want to understand with the menopausal transition is, as you mentioned, how it affects our bone health, how it affects our joint health, and how it also affects our muscle. So pelvic floor is nothing but the sling of muscles, in the pelvic area, basically. It's a hammock which supports all the pelvic organs. But what happens with menopause is, there is a tremendous loss of muscle mass as we transition into menopause. So not only does it affect our bones, leading to osteoporosis, but it can also cause weakness in the muscles, in their tone, and in their function. Believe it or not, there is about 25% of loss of muscle mass from when a woman attains menopause up to the age of 60 years. So during this phase of life, there is a weakness of the pelvic floor muscles, which can lead to incontinence, which can be quite annoying, So it is very important to start strengthening the pelvic floor muscles through exercise. So there, I think most of you who are present here are familiar with Kegel's exercises, which strengthen the pelvic floor and the pelvic floor musculature. So those are some things that a woman should incorporate in her life, not when she attains menopause, but throughout her lifetime. And it is very important to strengthen those muscles. You don't want to do it when you start having the symptoms. If you can do it even earlier on, even better. If you start having the symptoms, of course, you have to do those exercises. Secondly, from a yogic standpoint, being a yoga therapist as well, there is Ashwini Mudra in yoga. So Ashwini Mudra also helps to strengthen the pelvic floor. And there are multiple yogasanas, again, to support pelvic health as well, which should be incorporated. From a nutritional standpoint, a simple remedy to help with this is eating a teaspoon of brown sesame seeds or white sesame seeds first thing in the morning with warm water. Helps to strengthen the pelvic floor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rucha. And I would like to add one thing here for the Ashwini Mudra also. Anybody can perform, but if you have a high blood pressure, you need to definitely consult Dr. Rucha or any Ayurveda or the yoga therapist, because sometimes with the contraction of the sphincter muscles of the anal and then relaxing, if you are doing excessively, that can impact your blood pressure also. And this mudra can be done in the seated position or lying down position. Any position you can practice during the sleep time also. And this is one of the best mudra naturally, which will help with strengthening the pelvic floor. Now, with that, my next question is to Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Mimamsa, in Ayurveda, how Ayurveda can be helpful? What are the foods which can be helpful in strengthening the joints when it comes to the joint health during perimenopause or menopause phase?
Yes, ma'am. As per the Ayurveda concerns, all the food that contains we can say in our traditional remedies, the laddu kalpana from the very early period, which is having the shunthi, form of ginger, guda, that is jaggery, and they both are mixed with the combined with the wheat flour or any other flour like that of and that is the kind of sugar we are using at traditional times. So we prepared those kind of laddu and we give them to maintain the joint health in the Sutika Avastha also. Sutika is the postnatal period, and in the perimenopausal and menopausal period also. And in the females of menopausal period, we are giving them the Ayurveda Aushadh Kalpanas also. We are mixing these laddus with the Shatavari, Ashwagandha, and along with the, as per the symptoms appears in their disease, like if she's having any kind of vaginal itching or any kind of vaginal dryness, we are adding the Lodra Churna to that laddu, and they are very beneficial in improving the joint health. We are also mixing the black sesame seed and the white sesame seeds as well in that laddus, and they are all very beneficial in providing the joint health as well as muscle power, that as Rucha ma'am has said in the Kegel exercises and all that pelvic floor exercises and pelvic floor muscle strength. So we are advising these to the patients as per my purview. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mimamsa. And here I would also like to add, because Dr. Mimamsa's voice was little clear, sesame seeds and all those food which is rich in calcium, one can add during the perimenopause or menopause phase. Also, if somebody is not allergic to dairy products or they are consuming meat, fish with the bones such as sardines, salmon, and legumes can also be added during the this stage of the life. With that, I would also like to ask Dr. Ashish's view on the food as well as the nutrition aspect as well as Ayurveda aspect when it comes to perimenopause and menopause.
Thank you, Meenakshi. So nutrition, modern and Ayurvedic, for me, it's all one. So we need to, I always say that first we need to check what is going on with the blood so that we can find out where do we really need to support. And yes, we need to up more calcium in the body, but we also know that not just only taking calcium supplements is beneficial. We need to take other supplements with it and foods that contain those other things which help with the bone health. So with that, the foods that we need to be eating, the foods that are rich in magnesium, I'm not going to mention the specific foods because everybody has got different cuisine and different foods that they're eating. But magnesium-rich foods, calcium-rich foods, all these seeds and nuts and essential fatty acid containing foods, which has got that ingredients that we need to make all the hormones that are required, the hormones that are dropping, especially estrogen that drops a lot. So nutrition is the key factor here, that what we eat, and not just only what we can eat, but what we can digest, because you can eat whatever you want, but if you're not really digesting, you're not going to be getting any nutrition from it. So it is crucial for women. And we also know that, you know, as we age, the digestion slows down a little bit. That's across the board. But for women, digestion gets upset, not necessarily slow down, but it also gets upset at the time of, means it can go erratic at the time of menopause. So to understand how can they make it food more digestible, so that they're eating food which is easily digestible and not having very heavy foods, which will also help in terms of weight management. So it is a really fine balance, how we eat that. And then, yes, foods, Ayurveda-based foods are according to your constitution. So as long as you know and understand your constitution, eating foods according to that is what we need to have. And whatever your cuisine, how can we make those foods more beneficial to improving your estrogen, as well as progesterone, as well as testosterone. Actually, we need that also at the, after menopause, and how we can make it more digestible. So that would be my view, that we need to digest better and then eat foods according to our constitution.
Thank you so much. Anybody else wants to to add some digestive practices or habits that can be recommended incorporating into daily life for easy transition?
I can add a couple of things to that. I mean, a lot has been already said, but one very important is Koshta Shuddhi. So, cleansing is very important. And after that Koshta Shuddhi is done, you are setting the things straight. And when Koshta Shuddhi is done, the absorption of all the nutrients will improve. Dhatu Kshaya, you can build that Dhatu Kshaya that is happening. You can improve Dhatu Agni, especially, for Asti Dhatu, and help absorption of whatever you're giving for support of Asti Dhatu. If somebody is suffering from osteoporosis or osteopenia. So those are, that is one thing also I would suggest to keep in mind. And secondly, we cannot, one more thing that really helps with Ayurveda, or we use in Ayurveda, is the external treatments that are done to the body. So something as simple that you can do it yourself, Abhyanga, daily. Of course, if you have the means to go get a full cleanse and a detox from a proper Ayurvedic place, or a Panchakarma, if you will, using it in a very broader umbrella, you need to get whatever is very specific for you. Doing Pratimarshanasya. Pratimarshanasya means daily nasya, which can benefit so much to the brain, and all the psychological imbalances that happen during this phase can be helpful. So these are almost like do it yourself, Pratimarshanasya, Abhyanga, that you can incorporate in your daily lifestyle. Of course, if things get out of hand, you have to consult and get the right treatment that is needed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rucha. Also, I would like to touch base on some Ayurvedic herbs which has been recommended by our acharyas. To all the panelists, let's start with Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Mimamsa, what your views are on the herbs how Ayurveda sees the herbal supplements when it comes to the menopause and perimenopause. And with that, before Dr. Mimamsa or anybody answer, I would like to say that those are very, very personalized herbs. It should not be taken as a recommendation for the medical needs. Please consult your physicians before implementing any Ayurveda regimen in your day-to-day life. Dr. Mimamsa, please go ahead.
Yes. So we are using mainly Bala, Ashwagandha, Shatavari, Yashti Madhu, Giloy, Amlaki, and as a Medhya Rasayana, because the psychological symptoms are very much in today's era with the menopausal stages. So we are also using the Medhya Rasayana, and in Medhya Rasayana we are using Shank, Pushpi, Brahmi, Mandu, Parni. So as per the, and in our practices we are also using as per the dominance of the dosha. Like in Vata predominance we can use that Ashwagandha, Bala, Shatavari with milk, or the cow ghee. And in Pitta predominance, we can use Amlaki, Yashti Madhu, Giloy, and Shatavari as per the Rasgun Virya Vipak of that drug. And if in Kaph predominance, we can use Haritaki, Gugulu, garlic, that is Rason, and Mustak. And as we found that these drugs are very much beneficial for the specific dosha, like predominance, I have stated as per the predominance of Vata, Pitta and Kapha. And these drugs probably can do the action by direct enrichment of nutrient quality of Ras Dhatu, or by promoting the nutrition through improving the Agni, the digestive fire, or by promoting the competence of Srotas, or bioavailability of the food or medicine, both at the micro circulation. So these herbs we are using here for menopausal and perimenopausal stages in women. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Ashish, what are you using in your practice to support this stage of life?
Yes. So my protocol is all inclusive. So I don't do one single protocol, generally speaking. I don't just use only herbs or only panchkarma, or I use everything together. So because of which my work with my patients is very extensive, over 3 to 6 months, if they want to rejuvenate their health. So I really like panchkarma to start with. I just go full in and then start from there. And of course, supporting their health overall, wherever the dosha is, whatever their constitution is. And then give them accordingly protocol, herbal medicines, as well as, doing therapies. I find the panchkarma therapies, the way I do in my clinic, is very, very effective. I generally don't do full panchkarma because it's very long program. As we all know, it takes about a month. So nobody has that kind of time. But the way I like to do it is those therapies and using panchkarma therapy, especially as we said, for the shuddhi, and also to get the digestive system really to support digestion, and Agni, and also to cleanse. That works really well. And then giving them herbs afterwards. And I particularly this is my personal view and my personal protocol. I don't give names of herbs generally, because there are so many herbs available. You can Google them, you can see them. But it is about going to a practitioner, really truly understanding your constitution and taking whatever they prescribe to you. So when I prescribe to my patients, and all these herbs that Dr. Mimamsa just mentioned, I use many of them. I also use pepper a lot to help with digestion of ama. So we start with that. That is one of my protocol that I give, to my patients. But then giving all these herbs accordingly, giving all daily practices of Nasya, doing the Karnapuran, doing the Nasya, doing also the Abhyanga, the whole Dincharya that we have, and then priming it for this stage of life, and especially Nasya. I'm a big fan of Nasya. I give it to all my patients, even regardless, but this specific stage, and using herbs accordingly. So herbs names have already been mentioned. I use many of them in my practice as well, and including Shatavari and everything. But I think what people need to understand is that go to your practitioner and get prescription from them. Don't use these on your own, because only because they are gentle don't mean that they will be effective for you. Thank you.
Dr. Rucha, what are your views when it comes to Ayurveda and herbal support for menopause?
Yes. So herbal support for menopause is specifically what I can, focus on. And, when we look at this transition or Rajonivritti, we are talking about Jaraawastha, we're talking about Dhatukshayajanyavastha. So the 5 different things that primarily need to be done, and herbs that need to be used accordingly, I think are, we have to do Rasayana, we have to do Deepana, we have to do Pachana, we have to do Medhya, Balya, and Vayasthapan Chikitsa. So I will translate this for all our viewers as well. Deepana is increasing Agni, Pachana is digesting Ama, Rasayana, of course, is rejuvenative, Balya is strengthening, Then Medha is, of course, strengthening to the mind. And Vayasapan is anti-aging treatment, because we are calling Jaraawastha. So these are some of the basic, big umbrella, thought process. Of course, things will change based on who you're seeing, because Ayurveda, of course, is an individualized treatment that we provide. Now, what I found interestingly in my research is from the University of Jamnagar, from the 1990s, there was very interesting treatment protocols that came out, and research was done where they did over the years, they found out there are like different things that have generally helped based on research. So one of those was Rasayanvati or Rasayan Kalpavati. One was Medhya Rasayan Yoga, which included Brahmi, Shankhapushpi, Guduchi, Yashti Madhu, and such. Ashok actually was the fifth one. So these two, then Nasya with Medhya Ghruta, and for bones, Kukutanda Tvag Bhasma. And they also mention, there was a mention of Ajasarika Rasayana, which is when you use Rasayana on a daily basis, even perimenopausal period, such as Ashwagandha, Arjuna, Kshirapak was one of them. And then, of course, foods like soy and, foods, phytoestrogenic foods, which can be incorporated. So based on all of this, they found that these kalpas that they used, and please feel free to look up the ingredients of all of these kalpas. It's available online. But these kalpas which they used pretty much addressed, most of the symptoms that menopausal women usually tend to have. So a combination of all of these. Okay. So now taking this research forward, what I found that if you are looking at single dravya chikitsa, which means, single herbs, if you want to look at single herbs, some of the most popular list that comes up is Shatavari, Ashok, Vidari, Ashwagandha, Amalaki, Haritaki, Kumari, Ushir, Brahmi, Shankhapushpi. These are some of the most, useful herbs, and that the patient is benefited from. If you look at kalpas, if you look at vatis, you have Rasayan Vati. If you look at Ghritam, you have Kalyanaka Ghritam. If you look at kalpas, you have Shatavari Kalpa. There is Kshirabala Nasya, if you are looking at Nasyas. And if you look at Arishtam or Asavas, there is Ashoka Arishta, there is Saraswata Arishta. So these are some of the, classical formulations that can benefit somebody. In my practice, of course, everything is very individualized based on the patient. Not everybody comes with everything, right? They may have only one or two things. So it is very individualized. And depending on that, either you do Shodhan Chikitsa or Shaman Chikitsa based on that, or both, of course. And lastly, based on research and all my experience, I've come up with a formulation that I've put together myself with some of these herbs in different proportions. And I also use that a lot. So menopause support formulation that I give my clients, and they are very happy with it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rucha. When you talk about Agni, Bal, Medha, which are the typical, as per Acharya Sushruta, are the values for the Shatavari. I would like to quote one shloka here. Vat Pithari, Vrishya Swadu Tikta Shatavari, Mahati cha ev hridya cha, Medha Agni Balvardhini. So when we talk about all the properties which we need to support the perimenopause and menopause, Shatavari is considered as one of the best herbs. Now, my question to you, all of you, is one by one. Shatavari, it is rich in phytoestrogen. And in many times when we see that, especially with the medical practitioners also, they bring some controversy towards the Shatavari, that it can increase the uterine fibroid and does not support in the breast cancer also. So how you feel, first question is to Dr. Mimamsa, because you are in NIA where a lot of research has been done on the Shatavari. So what are the supportive articles or the research studies you can tell us about Shatavari, how it is helpful for the female health?
Yes, ma'am. As we know, Shatavari contains the phytoestrogens compounds. So basically, the Ayurvedic herb is not directly acting as estrogen of the modern science. It is having phytoestrogens, and as we give the Shatavari to the patient, it acts at Agni. Agni will assimilate it, and Agni will utilize it as the uterine Balya Dravya and other uses of the Shatavari. And many researches has been done at NIA also. Shatavari is giving, we are giving Shatavari to many patients of menopausal state, and it is never causing that harmful effect, or it is never causing that it is not doing the uterine fibroid enlargement in any of the cases. And many studies from different institutes are also published, like in Curious Journal of a part of Springer Nature. A study have been published about the Shatavari's efficacy and safety of Shatavari root extract for the management of menopausal symptoms, and it is found to be very effective in decreasing all the symptoms, and even though no any side effect of the drug. So we can state that because of phytoestrogen level, we cannot state that it is directly acting on like estrogen on the uterus. It is having a different mode of action and different properties, and it is not doing as same as the estrogen compound.
Thank you, Dr. Mimamsa. Dr. Rucha, would you like to add some research articles or the research studies included in that?
A couple of things, with Shatavari, there is research that is found, in both directions often. So, if you just do Shatavari research, because, the quality of Shatavari is Balya, right? The quality of Shatavari is Balya. Even with just taking Shatavari, you'll see weight gain because it is, it is increasing. It has this increasing quality to it or building quality to it. So we have to keep that in mind, especially for growths in the body, I feel. So if you're going to the root cause of the problem, if there are growths, why would I give Balya Chikitsa, right? I would probably want some, the opposite, Langhana Chikitsa, and I would use herbs accordingly. On the other hand, we also have to keep in mind that when some research is done, we have to be very careful about what research we are reading. When some research is done, they are taking out the active ingredients of the herb and only doing research on that. If research is done like that, then it will be skewed, especially from an Ayurvedic standpoint, because we never use active ingredients. We always use the whole herb. And in any herb, there are always other ingredients that balance out the active ingredient. So again, we have to keep that in mind when we use any herb or when we do any research, if you will. So now coming to how I use it, I'm a little careful if I am, I don't want any balya happening in the body. If I don't want that building action, I will not use Shatavari as much. In fact, I will use something else which will reduce or recede whatever I want to work on. Other than that, Shatavari is, of course, a woman's friend and one of the best herbs that a woman can use from puberty to menopause.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. Dr. Ashish, your insight on Shatavari?
Yes, I use Shatavari as well as I use a lot of Western herbs as well, which are phytoestrogenic. So, that's where the discretion of the practitioner comes in place. That's where you are supervising your patient really closely, that of course, you can also look at the scans. You can ask patient to have a scan. If the uterus is all clear, we can start with small dosages and then monitor it. If I have had patients in the past where they were very reactive to estrogen, and this was for fertility, wasn't really for menopause, but it can happen for menopause as well. In which case, then I won't use any phytoestrogen, not just only Shatavari as well. And yes, it is a wonderful herb that can be used, but I also use Western herbs as well. And yes, you're right. We need to be looking at research which is about whole herbs and not the active ingredients. And it is not an estrogen. It is a phytoestrogen, which acts differently, as Dr. Mimamsa just mentioned. So I wouldn't worry as much unless patient is very, very sensitive or has some history of, I don't know, estrogen receptor, there are some already changes in them and they are worried about cancerous changes and all of that, in which case I will not obviously use this herb. But otherwise, no issues as such, as long as you as a practitioner keeping an eye on your patient, so that we are noticing the changes. So that's, that's all. And I use it, yes, for sure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashish. With that, Ayurveda always emphasizes on the 3 sub-pillars of life, which is Triyopstam, Ahar, Nidra, Brahmacharya. We have discussed the Ahar part. What is the importance of sleep when it comes to the female hormones, especially related to the later stage of the life? Whoever wants to start first.
Yeah, I can start. Sorry, what was the question again, Meenakshi?
The question is about the 3 pillars of life.
Yes.
Now we are discussing about the sleep. Yes.
Sleep. So I have no idea how people are not sleeping, because it is so important. For me, if I can sleep better, everything kind of dissipates, whether there is any mental worry, there is anything going on. So no wonder that Ayurveda says is one of the pillars of life. So sleep is so crucial, and the right kind of sleep, sleeping before 10 p.m. It is important to balance your hormones and to make sure that you get the deepest sleep as well. The quality of sleep is equally important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you can sleep at 2 a.m. in the morning, and as long as you get your 8-9 hours, you have done good amount of sleep. It's not correct. So it is hugely crucial. It's part of my protocol to every single patient for menopause as well. And even making little changes, make a huge difference in well-being, which I see with my patient, how they then feel, how the energy level feels next day, how the mood feels next day, how they can get on with their day in a much better physically as well as mentally, how they can get on with their day. So absolutely, without sleep, nothing works. For me personally, nothing works, and for my patients as well.
So with the sleep, I would like to ask Dr. Rucha, many of the times we see that during this stage of life, sleep can become disturbed. Reason hot flashes, mental anxiety, joint aches and pains. So how they can support themselves when it comes to the sleep? Yes, sleep regulate our hormones, sleep regulate our mental health, but how to get a good night's sleep if you are having so many issues going on, especially with related to the menopause?
Right. So, sleep is, as we know, one of the main stambhas of Ayurveda. And Nidrayattam Sukham Dukkham Pushti Karsham Balabalam Vrushata Klibata Jnanam Adnyanam Jivitam Nacha. Everything depends on sleep. And it's not any different at menopause. So looking at what is the root cause of this sleep disturbance, it all again boils down to Vata vitiation at this stage of life, right? So Vata is responsible for appropriate secretion of hormones, for appropriate secretion of neurotransmitters. These are all Vata functions. So if we go to the root cause and address that, which is proper flow of Vata in the body and proper function of Vata, and support that can help sleep. So how do we support that? One is Abhyanga. there is so much to say about that oil on your body. Oil helps to calm the nervous system. It helps proper flow of vata. It helps to, adjust everything in the body. So Abhyanga is one. Second is, and that, there needs to be a discipline about Abhyanga. One day of Abhyanga is not going to help. Secondly, Nasya is another one, which also helps to calm the neuronal connections in the brain and helps us fall asleep. We have to reduce, to sleep you need tamoguna, and rajaguna needs to reduce. So anything that will help to really feel that heaviness to fall asleep is important to reduce vata. So drinking a warm glass of milk with a little ghee and adding a couple of pinches of nutmeg, which help you sleep, is very beneficial at bedtime. Our feet are very connected to our brain. So doing massage to the soles of your feet with Ksheerabala oil, for example, or Brahmi oil, can really calm the mind and help you fall asleep. So these are like, do it yourself, few things. You can also do Shiro Pichu, where you apply oil on a ball of on a square, cotton square, and then place it on the top of your head on this, on the fontanelle or the 7 chakra area. That can help you fall asleep. Another thing is, women at this stage are, at the brink of, they have older children, things are happening in their lives. So anything they can do to calm their emotions is also very, very beneficial. And I remember I had a patient and she was like pulling her hair out. I am perimenopausal and my daughter is entering puberty. So there we have just, lot of action going on at home. So what do I do? You tell me now. We are both at those junctures in life. So, emotions play a very important role, and to control emotions or the mind, which again plays a big role in falling asleep, is to do some practices which help to calm you down, such as mindfulness practices, prayer, meditation, whatever works for you. It could even be being active and going and spending time with your friends. It could be having a good social life, whatever it is. Anything that helps to calm the mind is very, very important for sleep.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. Very insightful discussion here happening on the sleep. Dr. Mimamsa, what are your views when it comes to the nidra?
As both the ma'am has said, that sleep is very important for maintenance of a woman's health. I also totally agree, because when we state that when women is doing Ratri Jagarana, she is awakened at night, the hormonal imbalances occurs very quickly. As we are taking the history of the PCOD patients and infertility patients, they all are addicted on mobile screens. This is like a screen addictions. They are not sleeping at timely. So not sleeping at timely will cause the GnRH regulation centers imbalanced, and that will lead to the ovulation hamperness, and this will also lead to the infertility. As the ma'am has said, vrishta klipta jnanam agyanam jivitam naja. The vrishta is directly related to the fertility, and the klipta is directly related to the infertility. So that's it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now it comes to the third sub-pillar of the life, which is our brahmacharya. And brahmacharya, the definition of brahmacharya is different for everybody. For me, on my personal level, I feel it is a regulation of your moral conduct and social conduct and how you control your senses. That is more important. But when it comes to Ayurveda, what Ayurveda says about the brahmacharya during this stage of the life, during the perimenopause and menopause stage of the life? I'll start with Dr. Mimamsa first.
As per ma'am, my concern, brahmacharya is not the celibacy, but as once someone has stated that Aham asmi Brahma. You should consider yourself as Brahma, and the Charya, the routine you follow to overcome your bad habits and to rule your good habits. If you take your good habits over the time, this will do as a Sadvritta, Achar Rasayana. These all we can consider as what we are doing for ourselves is we can consider as Brahmacharya. So in perimenopausal and menopausal stage, a woman should consider herself, she should not ignore herself. She should give total emphasis on her mental, social, physical, emotional well-being, so she can address her this climacteric changes very well, so she can lead to menopausal, post-menopausal state with grace. So that's from my side, ma'am.
Dr. Rucha, your views, please.
So I agree with what both of you have said so far. You know, brahmacharya as a pillar, definitely moral conduct, social conduct, control on your senses is important. And when it comes to menopause, though, if we were only to think about, you know, from the sexual aspect of it, and there, in reality, it does affect libido. In menopause does affect libido. So, and for some people, it may not be that important. For others, it may be. So again, based on individual approach to it, you know, we can address from an Ayurvedic perspective, we can do things for it. These are real problems. You know, there can be because of lack of estrogen, a lot of vaginal dryness, which can affect somebody's sexual life or performance. And that can be addressed with the use of Ayurvedic herbs. It can be addressed with the use of treatments, you know, something as simple as Shatavari Kritam, local application, and you know, of course, you know, taking herbs also helps to address that aspect. Not to forget, you know, looking at the whole person. You know, if there is dryness, it has to be addressed from the Kushtha. You know, only putting stuff on is not going to work. So,
yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rucha. Dr. Ashish?
Brahmacharya, yes, I perceive brahmacharya to be non-indulgence, so that you don't indulge in things. That could be anything, whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's any other practice that you're doing, not sleeping well or looking at the screen. It could be anything that you're indulging in more than what you should do. So that for me is brahmacharya. And celibacy, I don't endorse celibacy at all, regardless of any age. Rather, it has been shown actually perimenopausally and menopausally women should have more sex because it helps them to maintain the hormonal levels. So we need to have that, but you're right, the libido goes down, you know, and how do you support libido? You can give herbs. I give yoni soaks for my patients. I also give internal vaginal herbal applications and ghee, grita, as you mentioned. I give that to my menopausal patients to give them localized effect as well as all the herbs to take internally. I also give oils, certain particular oils to take them bedtime, or even simple ghee at bedtime with some herbal tea, you know, works really well. It helps to moisten, as you say, internally. If you have the proper, you know, proper fat, it will help also with the yoni itself. It's not just only the yoni, but the overall skin gets dry as well. So brahmacharya for me is, yeah, non-indulgence is what it is. And you need to be doing the right kind of practice, what works for you personally, you know, and living life accordingly. And as far as particularly sex or sexual intimacy is concerned, I think there was somebody mentioned a question here. It is the time where there should be more intimacy. You know, it is the time where there should be more depth to your intimacy. So it is not just only frivolous behavior that you are doing, but rather connecting more with your partner if you have one, or whoever you need to connect with. You need to connect with more deeply, because that really helps this transition. It helps on all levels, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. So yeah, definitely, brahmacharya, don't take it for celibacy, 100% not.
All righty. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashit. And I agree with all of you regarding this, that the brahmacharya is on different level. We can all practice and guide our clients also to do so. My next question is, when it comes to the menopause, we see that a lot of emotional disturbance, and that emotional disturbance can create a stress, as Dr. Rucha told. One of the incident where the female was in menopause and her daughter was in the teenage age, where both the fires are there. So how yoga can be helpful? I would like to start with Dr. Ashish. And what can be the stress management you would say that which works when it comes to reducing the stress and addressing the mental health during this stage of life? Dr. Ashish.
Right. So we are talking about the importance of yoga, right? It is part of my protocol to every single patient of mine. So nobody can do it without yoga. And I am a practitioner of yoga myself. So breath work is the key for me. You can do all the asanas, whatever is required, however you can bend, however flexible you are, do what you can do. One of my basic recommendation is to do sun salutation. You can do sun salutation, Surya Namaskar or Chandra Namaskar, whatever works for you, do that. It has got so many different postures within it. And if you are rushing certain day, you don't have enough time, just do that much. As well as doing, it has been mentioned before, doing exercises which strengthen your pelvic floor, because it is required for women to strengthen their pelvic floor, especially even more so during perimenopause and menopause and postmenopausal time, effectively. So doing those asanas and doing those practices which helps you to strengthen your pelvic floor. And breath work, I give different pranayams for my patients as well, which then help you on all various levels. Because pranayam for me, for example, Kapalbhati works on so many levels. It's not just only that it is such a strong, intensive pranayam, as well as it works on your gut. It works on the muscles itself, as well as increasing the cellular health for the patient. So that I really, really like. I really recommend. It works on the weight as well. So there are so many advantages to it. So yes, yoga is what everybody needs to be doing. And yoga is what yoga is for you. So I normally say to my patients to work with with the practitioner under supervision, learn it properly, and then do it. And do a class at least once a week. But yoga is something that you need to do every single day. Even if you can do 5 minutes, but every single day is more important rather than doing only once a week. So that's what my recommendation is.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish. Dr. Rucha, as a yoga therapist, what are your insights when it comes to the mental health as well as flexibility to support during this phase of female's life?
Here I would like to recommend two things. Of course, let's start with mental health. And from a yoga perspective, I think Dr. Ashish has covered most of it. But from a yoga standpoint, for me and for my patients, a lot is about pranayam to calm the mind and regular exercise. Now, some people do yoga, then they can do yoga. I will give them specific asanas, which they can practice on a daily basis. But not all people do yoga, so they prefer to do any other form of exercise. Then I bring in the physical therapy aspect of it and use that aspect to help them exercise. So from anxiety as well as, body care or physical standpoint, especially to support bone and muscle health, I highly recommend, because of my physical therapy training as well, I do highly recommend the use of physical therapy, especially for prevention and for aggressive if there is osteopenia or osteoporosis, to prevent aggressive, advancement of that. So, walking is extremely important, 150 minutes per week, if not jogging, at least 75 minutes per week. In addition to that, especially when it comes to exercise, we cannot forget the importance of endorphins that are released with exercise that keeps you happy. So not only is it helping your body physically, but it is also helping anxiety. So it is very, very important to have that routine in your daily life, and to move. That is what one needs to do during this time. From a PT standpoint, weight-bearing exercise is really important. So if you're on your bed doing exercises, it's useless to support your bones. Bones develop only when you put weight on them. So you have to be on your feet. So swimming is not best, but maybe being on your feet, walking, running, jogging is a better option. Flexibility, of course, which can be achieved with yogasanas, beautiful, right? It is not just flexibility. It is also like an energy movement in the whole body. So I usually like that aspect. Then resistance exercise. So, you can use your body weight for resistance like we do in yoga. So, like using your arms and legs. There are a lot of asanas where you use your body for resistance. You can do that. Or you can do resistance exercises such as using bands and weights and machines. Stability and balance is also important. That can be very well achieved with a lot of yogasanas, as we know. But stability and balance can also be achieved very specifically through physical therapy. And as the bones get weaker, now we're not just talking about between 50 and 60 years of age. We're talking as a woman gets older into her 70s and 80s. Balance is a huge issue. And we see that all the time around us, our mothers or grandmothers falling and breaking their hip or femur. So, improving balance also becomes a very important thing. And then we already talked about pelvic floor. So we are addressing the whole body through weight bearing, resistance, flexibility, balance, stability, and pelvic floor, which not only helps the body, but also the mind. And through all of these aspects, you can do PT as well as yoga through these 5-6 things.
Wonderful, Dr. Rucha. And I agree that the balance, the stability is the core concept, because if somebody is going through the osteoporosis or osteopenia, and the combination of fall can be really detrimental for the joint. We are running short of time. We have few minutes left, but I would like to ask two important questions. If somebody is going for the HRT, hormonal replacement therapy, what are the Ayurveda views on the HRT and how they can, because HRT sometimes brings side effects as well. How Ayurveda see and how Ayurveda address this, Dr. Mimamsa?
As per my concern, an integrative approach proves to be effective in addressing the challenges faced by a woman who is navigating through menopausal state. But on urgent basis, we can use HRT as well as Ayurveda integratively. But because the side effect of HRT on a longer term basis are more, so we can shift the patient on the Ayurvedic medicine as per the symptomatology of the patient. And we can also use the other remedies as yoga, pranayam, asanas, and the panchkarma therapies as well. And if the patient is very well shifted on the Ayurvedic therapies, we can stop the HRT. And we can face challenges like that patient symptom severity and the chronicity of the symptoms. If they are very chronic and severity is more, we will have to use the HRT on urgent basis. But later on, we can shift the patient on the Ayurvedic medicine. And it is also dependent on the dose, in which dose we are using our medicine and what formulation we are using. So these can be the challenges and we will have to address. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mimamsa. And with that, the final question for all of our panelists. As a female, we know that we all have to go through or already going through this stage of life. How you see menopause as a female in your life? Whoever wants to start first.
I can start, ma'am. As a female, I found every female is special because she is the mother of this beautiful universe, and her life is much dependent on two important milestones of her life, that is menarche and the menopause. The period of menopause is a time of tremendous changes in her life, and these changes may cause loss of equilibrium to her day-to-day life. So the valuable support of the family, the friends, plays a pivotal role in providing comfort and assistance during this period. So on this Mother's Day, I request all of you to support every woman around you to help her embrace this period with grace. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Wonderful message. Dr. Rucha and Dr. Ashish.
Go ahead, Dr. Ashish.
Okay, so yes, I think this is like everything else, aging, it is something that is natural to us. It is how well we can prepare ourselves so doesn't become a debilitating and disease-like state for us. That is my message to myself as well to all my patients. It is about rejuvenating. How can you come out of it even stronger? You know, that is my message to every woman. Personally, I'm not going through it yet. I think it's just kind of just beginning perimenopausal stage. That's where I am at. But I am also then looking at everything else, you know, so that holistic and integratively how we can use everything, whatever comes, you know, whether it's HRT, whether it's Ayurvedic medicine, herbs, yoga, mindfulness, using everything and then transitioning to be on the wiser side of the time, I would say. So that's how I see it. I don't see it as any form of debility or any form of issue. Maybe I'm not going through it personally. That's why I don't see it. But I don't want women to see it just like it's something, oh my God, you know, what is going to happen to me? Or as so many women see it. So that is what I want them to see, this as a natural progression of your life, and you want to come out stronger and better on the other side. But yes, definitely prepare for it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashish. And yes, I agree. There should not be any pause with the menopause. Dr. Rucha.
So as a woman, what do I feel and think about menopause? You know, I would say that use Ayurveda to support yourself, you know, not when you hit menopause, but way before that. You follow appropriate diet, appropriate lifestyle. And most of all, I feel that this is also a very important time for inner reflection. And inner reflection, be it mental health, be it emotional health, be it spiritual health, all of these, you know, we need to really, you know, look at it from a very, very different perspective. You have to make peace with your past, and you have to create acceptance for the future. And this is the time, you know, you have to forgive all that have crossed your path and overall in your life that you don't, you know, need to take your headspace anymore. That needs to happen. And you need to create and make peace with yourself. So I think, you know, not only is it a part where you're taking care of your physical body, but it is also a time, a very important time for inner reflection as well.
Thank you. Wonderfully said, Dr. Rucha. And we will take a couple of questions here. But first, let me address one of the comment here by our Dr. Sujata Reddy. She has mentioned addressing grief around loss of identity. Dr. Sujata, I would like to invite you regarding what does that mean to you, addressing grief around loss of identity. Dr. Sujata.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi. I'm not on video just because I'm just not in that great form, but being a mental health counselor, the identity around a woman and the importance around being looked at as, a person who gives birth to children and losing that identity. And it also, I think, depends on the cultural context, where the Western culture sees a woman differently, as being very accepted as something, that she is more worthwhile. She's more self-worth is high, and losing that identity and feeling, oh, she's not attractive anymore. Nobody wants to, the women go through a lot of issues in the relationships with going through menopause, and a lot of divorces happen with, during menopause and post-menopause. Looks like the hormones are a glue to actually putting up with a lot of issues, marital issues, and waiting for the children, empty nester syndrome, and loss of that identity. So many things, so many factors come into play. And a lot of these, issues a woman needs support with, and do need to seek therapy. And in the Eastern, especially coming from India, there is not much support, but there is family support and multi-generational, living under one roof, and they have their roles to play, and it's all accepted. But in the West, it is completely different due to nuclear family situations. Those are my few cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sujata. Yes, I completely agree with you that there are so many physical component as well as mental component where we need to address all the components to achieve the balance here. I'll take only couple of questions only. Most of the questions I was picking up during our talk or conversation also. There is one question: is there any connection between seasonal change, dosha imbalance, and menopause? Anybody wants to address that?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, please. Go ahead, Dr. Mimasa.
Yes, ma'am. As we all know that menopause is a state of Vata predominance, and as the season-wise in Ayurveda, it is stated that during the Grishma Ritu, that is summers, the Vata will aggravated, and during the rainy season, it will be at its Prakop Avastha. The Vata will be severely aggravated, and it will cause the symptoms in the body. So during menopause, the female can appear with the symptoms of more like the Vata, any kind of pain, or vaginal itching, or more irritability, more mood swings. So we can adopt the Panchkarma therapies, as the Basti is best in Vata Shamana. So we can do that. And with the preventive aspect, we can do the Ritu Charya along with the menopause state. Dincharya, we can set patient to follow the daily regime mentioned in the Ayurveda and the seasonal regimes mentioned in Ayurvedic text. So by this, we can correlate the seasonal regime to the menopause, and we can achieve what we want to achieve in a menopausal woman as per the seasons.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mimasa. Anybody else wants to add to that? Okay. So the last question, I would pick it up. As a female, we all wants to have a healthy, tight skin, especially the facial skin. And with the menopause, there are so many challenges with the skin elasticity. How Ayurveda says or the Ayurveda addresses the skin health during perimenopause and menopause.
So,
Right. Sorry. I'll mention a few things. You can mention the rest. But I think it's in the preparation of when you are preparing, and if you are doing your daily routine properly, and especially Abhyanga has got such a great role, knowing your skin and knowing your dosha and using oils accordingly, not just only a application of oil, which is Abhyanga, but taking oils internally helps with the skin. And we know that skin comes from the digestive health, right? So if your digestion is good, if somebody had asked question about microbiome and gut health as well. So if you have a good digestion, you are taking nutrients accordingly, then you are not going to have as many issues with the skin. And some of the skin part is genetics as well. You know, how your parents and grandparents' skin has been, you are going to follow a little bit more on that path. So you need to understand how that is for you and do it every day, not just only in menopause, but if you're preparing really well, then it helps. Like I do a lot of treatments and therapies, so a lot of Abhyanga, so you can go for those, you know, with the practitioner, and that helps with skin health a lot. So that's my part.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashit. And rightly said that preparation is the key. If you want to run the marathon, it is not like that tomorrow you can go and start running. You have to prepare your body. Similarly, for in Ayurveda, we say that what you are digesting, it all depends upon your 3 sub-pillars. It comes back to those 3 sub-pillars only. Dr. Rucha, please, your views.
So my 2 cents on the, skin, especially you see a lot of drying and thinning of skin around menopause. And as rightly said, genetics play a role, but what can we do to support that, to support the skin? What happens is you lose the fatty lipid layer on your skin because of menopause or because of low estrogen levels. So one way to address that, and as I already mentioned earlier, oil massage, nothing like oil massage. So you can put oil on your body. It helps with wrinkles. It helps with dry skin. And when done on a regular basis, it really supports the abha and prabha of the skin, the luster of the skin, and it enhances your skin. Now, that is to be done externally, but internally also, again, use of oils and ghees in moderation, and also use of phytoestrogens such as fenugreek seeds, aloe vera. Aloe vera, just like Shatavari, is a woman's friend. So aloe vera, even application of aloe vera on the skin is very beneficial as well. Yams, asparagus in your food. These are things to incorporate in your food to improve skin. And lastly, you can use yoga very well to improve your skin also, because it energetically improves the luster and tone of your skin. So those are some of the things to help with the skin.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. And don't forget the power of Nasya also in that, Pratimash Nasya. That also helps. Thank you so much for such a wonderful discussion. And I would like to invite Dr. Gauri Junarkar to say thank you to our esteemed panelist. Dr. Junarkar is also our board of director. Dr. Gauri.
So thank you so much to all our esteemed panelists. I mean, it was just wonderful. I will tell you that every single question that, Vidya Meenakshi had asked all the panelists, I mean, excellently explained. So, I felt like I learned so much as well. So thank you so much to all our panelists as well. I will also like to thank our moderator, Vidya Meenakshi, as well. I also want to thank our president, Dr. Amit Kumar, who's present here, as well as the secretary, Deepa Bhatt, for being here and again supporting all of us in this Sambhasha event. Again, I just want to point out that we have those codes available for all those who attended our session today. So make sure that if you want to be a member, that you avail of those codes and be our member and be a part of this thriving Ayurveda community. So again, thank you to all of you for being a part of the Sambhasha event and making it a great success.
And thank you so much to our attendees also who joined in the best cause of the supporting up. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.